Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into an absolutely vibrant, visually stunning tradition from the Kumaon region of Uttarakhand, India. It's called the Gaura Festival, or sometimes Sathu Aathu. We are going to look at how an entire community comes together to literally breathe life into a mythological marriage, transforming everyday local plants into divine beings. It's a really fascinating process.
To really understand this festival, we actually have to start with a surprisingly relatable question. What happens when the goddess of the universe gets mad at her husband? According to local mythology, Goddess Gaura, who you might know as Parvati, gets into an argument with her husband, Lord Shiva. And, well, what does she do? She packs her bags and retreats to her maternal home. It's this deeply humanized, everyday story of a marital spat, and that exact premise is the beating heart of the entire multi-day Gaura celebration.
Section 1. A divine family drama. You see, the locals in this region don't just worship these deities from a distance. They treat them like immediate family. Goddess Gaura is lovingly viewed as the village daughter who's just come back home for a visit. And Lord Shiva, or Maheshwar, he's the son-in-law. Let's map this out. The festival happens during the Hindu month of Bhadrapada, which is usually around August or September. We kick things off on Panchami, the 5th day, which is when all the preparations begin. Then comes Saptami, the 7th day, marking Gaura's arrival at her maternal home after the big argument. And finally, we have Ashtami, the 8th day, when the son-in-law, Lord Shiva, shows up to apologize and win her back. This whole journey of estrangement and joyous reconciliation really dictates the entire flow of the festival.
Now, this isn't just some quaint local myth. According to academic documentation published in the International Journal of Creative Research Thoughts, scholars actually study the Gaura Festival as this profound intersection of cosmology, ecology, and social relations. It's honestly a masterclass in material culture. The people of Uttarakhand aren't just praying. They are actively engaging with their environment to construct the sacred. So let's look at exactly how they do that.
Section 2. Birud Panchami, the beginning.
The practical preparations start with the sacred Birud. This is where the festival really takes root, quite literally, in the agricultural life of the Kumaon region. It's a very hands-on sensory experience that binds the community to the earth before they even begin looking toward the heavens. The women take 5 specific types of grains: wheat, horse gram, chickpea, black gram, and gurus. They place these into a copper vessel. But here's a really fascinating ecological touch. The outside of the vessel is smeared with small portions of cow dung, which is considered highly purifying, and it's adorned with dub grass to symbolize fertility. They soak the brains in water, kicking off this physical and symbolic process of growth. Fast forward a couple of days, and the women carry these soaked, sprouting grains to a nula, which is a natural, sacred water source. Just picture the scene for a second. You have groups of women walking together, carrying these copper vessels on their heads, and they're singing these rhythmic traditional folk songs like Ubji Ubji Lari Gamera. They wash the grains 5 times in the natural spring. The repetition, the music, the communal gathering, it takes a simple agricultural task and transforms it into this deeply sacred ritual of purification.
And this brilliantly illustrates the connection between their faith and their farming. Ethnographic studies note that the water used to wash these sacred grains isn't just tossed out. No way. It's carefully collected and poured right back into their agricultural fields. The belief is that this water is now charged with the sacred energy of the ritual and the songs, and it's going to improve the fertility and productivity of their crops. It's just a beautiful closed-loop system of spiritual ecology.
Section 3. Crafting gods from nature.
When Saptami rolls around, the community engages in what I think is one of the most unique aspects of the Gaura festival. They don't just go out and buy idols made of plaster or stone. Instead, the women head out into the lush, monsoon-fed fields and physically build the deities entirely out of the surrounding environment. The idol of Goddess Gaura is constructed using 5 specific types of local plants, including paddy and sesame. The idol of Maheshwar or Shiva is made using 3 types of plants. But here's the absolute most vital detail. When the women harvest these plants, they pull them up by the roots, and they deliberately leave the local soil intact on them. The deities literally carry the earth of the village within them.
Once they've gathered all the materials, the women use a technique that's a lot like braiding hair. They weave the plants together to form the face, the arms, and the body of the deities. Then, these braided plant figures are placed into a basket, supported by 5 seasonal fruits. And finally, they bring them to life through decoration.
They dress them in bright yellow cloths, give them beautiful crowns, and adorn them with the traditional 16 shringar, which are cosmetic embellishments. They are taking everyday nature and elevating it into a stunning, sacred presence.
Section 4. The Joyous Reunion. All right, now we reach the climax of the story on Ashtami. This is the day the son-in-law Maheshwar officially arrives in the village to win back his wife. A local priest even conducts their marriage ceremony all over again. The argument is officially over, and the entire village just erupts into celebration. Professor K.S. Ravat really hit the nail on the head when explaining why this matters so much. He noted that, yes, it's about the marriage of Shiva and Parvati, but really, it's about the community. For days, the whole village comes alive. Families gather, folks who have moved away to the cities come back home, and everyone just shares in the joy. That divine reconciliation totally mirrors the strengthening of human bonds within the village itself. And how do they celebrate? With the magic of the kale. A kale is a traditional circular folk dance, like the Joda or Chenchari. Men and women form these massive rings, linking arms or holding hands, and they step in perfect unison to the beat of local drums like the Dal and Damau. While they dance, they sing epics of local heroes, tales from the Mahabharata, and just songs of absolute joy. These dances can go on for hours, way late into the night. It creates this mesmerizing rhythm that literally pulses through the entire village.
Right in the middle of all this dancing, there's a really fun, chaotic ritual that happens. Two people will grab a large piece of cloth and hold it taut, almost like a trampoline. The sacred brewed grains and fruits are placed right in the center and then tossed high into the air. Suddenly, all the women rush in, trying to catch these falling offerings in the hem of their garments, which is known as their anchal. It is just a joyous frenzy. And local tradition actually says that any unmarried girl who manages to catch the offerings will be blessed with a happy marriage sometime within the coming year.
Section 5. A Tearful Farewell. But just like any visit from a daughter who's moved away, the time eventually comes for her to head back to her husband's home. And you can feel the energy shift. It goes from this ecstatic dancing to a deep emotional sorrow. The women sing these incredibly moving farewell songs. One of them goes, Basi Raya Aja Baba Abham Garnasi Janu, which translates to, Stay well, mother and father, now I must go to my home. It represents the very real sorrow of a family saying goodbye to their daughter. The women will literally have tears in their eyes as they place the baskets holding the plant idols of Gaura and Maheshwar on their heads for one final procession through the village. This final act is known as Siladina, the immersion ritual. The whole village walks the deities to the local temple or a designated natural spot. And here, those beautiful idols, the ones they so carefully braided together from local flora, are disassembled. The cloth and the jewelry are gently removed, and the plants are respectfully returned to nature. It perfectly completes the cycle. The earth provided the materials to build the divine, and to the earth, the divine returns.
It's honestly such a grounded, beautiful way to look at the world, isn't it? But it does leave us with a pretty vital question to think about. As modernization speeds up and more people migrate from these mountain regions to urban areas, how do we ensure that profound, ecologically intertwined traditions like this continue to thrive? When the youth move to the cities, who's going to be left to braid the plants and sing to the spring water? It's definitely something for all of us to reflect on when we think about our own cultural heritage. Well, that wraps up our explainer on the incredible Gaura Festival. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.